Cheers.
Gin last time, a long time ago.
A long time ago. We've never had gin since. I think...
a lie.
Hello and welcome to another Popcorn Club. This week we went to go and see Gone Girl.
Mm-hmm.
The film everyone's been talking about the book that everyone was talking about.
Were they?
Everyone's talking about
I've
it.
never spoken about it until now.
Everybody
I've never spoken about it before until now. This is the first time I've said anything about it.
Let us never speak of it again. Hugely popular book. Was it last year or the year before? I read it when it first came out, the book I read. And then suddenly it like blew up and was all over the underground.
Did you read it before it was popular? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah. By the time it became a big thing, everyone kind of knew that there was going to be a film, and it's just been quite hyped up, I think, since then.
I think from film circles, it being taken on by David Fincher doing a sort of second sort of big book adaptation following The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo sort of tuned in a lot of cinephiles to the adaptation as well.
Yeah. So that's tuning in.
I see. No, I got it.
Yeah. Okay. How did it compare? Rhetorical question. I really enjoyed the film. Even though I knew exactly what was going to happen, and the big thing that everyone talked about when they were talking about the book before the film came out is, oh yeah, it's great, but there's a big twist. I'm not going to tell you what the twist is. I would say, even if you've read the book, you know what the big twist is, which is that she's really alive and she's the kind of psycho.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
no,
but
I know. I think, but also I think people talking about twists or just making a big thing about there being a big twist makes you more
on the lookout for.
Or just just anticipating something and kind of waiting for that moment and kind of invariably whenever it does appear almost being disappointed by it as well.
Going into the film, knowing all of that and knowing what it is and knowing the storyline and the whole plot, it's still a really enjoyable film, and I think that's testament to the fact that David Fincher's direction, the acting I think works really, really well, and the story's just a good gripping story.
The script again was written by Gillian. I think she's on record saying that she actually stripped a lot of stuff. She stripped a lot of stuff out of the film, and David Fincher actually made her put it back in. And so, and again, it's a lot it is a long film at 2.5 hours. I think again towards the end,
it didn't feel 2.5 hours.
It could have done easily with being 20 minutes or so shorter, at least. I think overall it was impeccably well directed, and Fincher was always well known for doing countless takes until he gets it perfect. So for the most part, I think the acting was very good, with a couple of exceptions.
Oh, really?
Rosamund Pike was excellent.
Yeah,
I think Ben Affleck was good, serviceable to good. Not necessarily bad in any way. I think
I get irritated by Ben Affleck in some films because I think he comes across as really. It's coffee time. Yay. I think Ben Affleck, he can annoy me in some films because he comes across as really smarmy and just smug and irritating. But I actually think that persona worked for this film, because him coming across as smarmy and smug when he didn't mean to in the media spotlight is exactly how, exactly some of the things that they're trying to pick apart. I think that's also
testament to, I think a lot of great directors tend to cast the right people and can play up the right traits or sort of amplify certain expectations that you have of people.
Definitely.
Tyler Perry was a very strange choice for this film and surprisingly good, I thought. But then Neil Patrick Harris, who I was quite excited to see, I thought was woefully miscast, sadly. I just don't think he worked.
My big thing about it is, despite it being enjoyable, as always with these things, it just does work better as a novel. It just does, because the twist of her being alive comes across so much well during the medium of the novel, because it's written in diary format. First of all, you're like, it's from his perspective, I think, and he's like, you're like, oh shit, his wife's gone missing. Oh no, like poor Nick Dunn. Like, oh, that's terrible. Oh, he's absolutely devastated. Doesn't know what's happened to her. Then you get her diary of the relationship and how it all started, and you think, oh my God, he's a complete and utter bastard. I can't believe I felt sorry for him all this time. Oh, that's the big twist. And then you get her real diary, and you find out that actually that was just a big fake diary to frame him for her murder, and you're like, oh my god, it's actually her that's the complete bitch. Who can I trust? What's going on? And that works so much better in novel format than I think it does in film.
One of the things that was slightly confusing for the film is
if you haven't read
well, I think in general terms, even when you get to the point of the reveal that she's still alive, and then you kind of got the separate reveal that she's actually completely psychotic, and at that point, and when you go back through to find out that all her diary is completely manufactured, for the most part been a sort of 50-50 split between what on the surface appears to be their perspectives on their marriage, and then it feels like his side of the story, although he's still a bit of a bastard, his side still feels true, his truth, or the truth of what's happening, whereas hers, you literally have no clue what to believe, and what from the beginning, there were maybe that one or two or few glimpses of the story from the beginning were true, but exactly at what point and where she deviated from reality is completely lost.
We went to see it with my parents, and we had quite a big debate about it afterwards about, I thought that this bit was real, and then she went, and no, I thought this, and everyone had a different perspective. I quite like that it wasn't like cut and dry, like it is. So much of that film and that story is all about interpretation, and do you ever really know what someone else in a relationship is ever thinking? You don't. No one does. You think you know, but really you only ever know what that person, as my mum said, is willing to show you, which is actually a really scary thought.
The nature of the twists themselves actually completely subvert the genre of the film, from essentially some sort of whodunit mystery to something
like
more on the lines of a low rent sort of thriller. I guess not I say not low rent. No, her character becomes really hard to identify with at that point, because you're so cast adrift from knowing what was real and what was not from her perspective. When again, it felt like such an even-handed portrayal. You're thrust into her real mind and mentality when she goes to Neil Patrick Harris and the depths at which she's willing to sink in order to get back. It no longer feels like the film it was. It's not the film it was for the first hour, but it kind of undercuts, I think, too much of what came before.
I don't agree. I went with it. I thought the ending was, and the way it escalates is completely in keeping with the tone and the overall message of the book.
Maybe that's the case that it works better in book.
Yeah, maybe.
Case for it working better in book form. Bookcase. Casebook.
Either of those are things.
No. There's still more than enough in there in a sort of 2.5 hour long Fincher film to make it worth seeing. The majority of the social commentary in the film, when the case came out and it all became about
a media circus
and judging Ben Affleck through the eyes of the media.
We should all judge Ben Affleck.
All the news reporting, or the fake news reporting that was inserted in the film, there just seemed too much of it, and it felt a little bit too broad and a bit too obvious and a little bit too on the nose at times. It may be partly because the news reporter was also known for playing the fake, well not fake, but the newscaster on Parks and Rec, where she's a bit over the top and ridiculous. I'd have preferred it to be a little bit
I don't think it's that far removed from what actually goes on.
I guess, I think that's partly the fact that a lot of Fox News and other things are so blunt. But
they are, and I think if you toned it down, you'd be doing them.
But I think maybe it's just because that wasn't the part of the film I was interested in. I was more interested in the actual relationship, judging their relationship on my own terms and looking at them, rather than having to look at it through the third party of the media and how they were being viewed by others. Maybe have it not as front and centre for so much of the film.
For me, that's talking to the fact that Amy and her self-worth is so defined by her image and how people see her, because that is how she grew up with the amazing Amy. And I think that is an important part of the story. That's all she cares about. When she comes back, she's like, oh no, I can't do that, everyone will hate me. So flashback.
Popcorns, I still think it's a good solid. I think it's a 7 out of 10 for me.
Really?
Yeah. And again, it might be partly down to expectation, it being David Fincher and it being so hyped. I don't think it lives up to anywhere near enough of that to be...
I don't think it's as low as a 7. I think I'm going to give it an 8, because I really enjoyed it, and I think I don't think it's as high as a 9 because there are flaws in it, but it was a good solid effort for me. Like the only real big flaws I think are just come from the fact that translating a book into a film is challenging, and it just so happens that this concept just works better as a book. I thought it was still perfectly enjoyable, and that's testament to a lot of the good stuff that was going on. So yeah. So next week we're going to see 71, which is a film about a soldier getting injured in Belfast in 1971.
Well, he's left. He's out on patrol with his team or squadron or whatever they are, and he's left behind in the middle of a fairly violent situation and has to work his way back.
Join us next week for that. And in the meantime, have you been watching #PopcornHorrorFest? If you don't know, every day in every day in October, we've been watching a different horror film every night and doing a little video about it. So the playlist is linked down below. So check that out. Follow us, like us, subscribe to us, thumbs up, all of that stuff that you know what to do. It's all down there. Look around. And yeah, we'll see you soon next time. Soon next time.
Next time.
Bye.
Yeah.
Who are you behind this beard?